I'll repeat since I didn't have the recording going. The reason this problem is a little different than we've been doing, this is, by the way, number 15 from page, what did they say, 228. And is because not all of our information is from the same triangle. Okay, not all the information is from the same triangle. And we have a lot of triangles there, don't we? Let's just take a minute. I'm going to highlight them in yellow, all the different triangles we have. And then we'll try to sort out which ones are important to us and which ones aren't. Okay? And then we'll undo it and unclutter it when we're done. So we have this little triangle. Looks the same as this one, doesn't it? Okay, would we agree with that? Okay. We have this triangle. Looks the same as that triangle. Would you agree with that? Yeah. And we have this triangle. Looks the same as this triangle. Right? We got a lot going on there. We've got 3 sets of triangles. And two of them are going to be important to us and one isn't. 2 pairs. Okay? So let's identify what we have. Segment TE and segment RI are congruent, and segment TI and segment RE are congruent. So these two are in what triangle?
TIE.
Say again?
TIE.
Yeah, triangle TIE. This one. Right? And these 2 facts are in what triangle? REI. Okay? So those are 2 of our triangles, right? Now this next statement says angle TDI and angle ROE are right angles. Are those angles in those 2 triangles? If I pull those 2 triangles down here, are those right angles? Are those right angles in them? No, they're not, are they? Those right angles don't exist there, do they? If you were thinking, oh yeah, they're inside the triangle, yeah, but they're not part of the triangle. That's the key. Okay? They're not part of the triangle. So they aren't part of that information. So you see how that information and in this right triangle or right angle information is 2 different kinds of facts, aren't they? Okay? So if I just looked at these 2, is there anything else I know about these 2 yellow triangles?
The thing going through the middle is equal to the self.
Yeah, and so it looks like I could prove those 2 triangles congruent, couldn't I? I could, couldn't I? Because this, as he's saying, this is equal to itself. And so, let's see, I have T, I, R, E. And so, I can say, step 1, segment TE congruent to segment RI, and segment TI congruent to segment RE, and that's given. Now I know there's more given than that, but that other given has nothing to do with this, does it? So this is one of the rare times that I actually don't put all the given in together. Okay? My second step, I'm going to say what Hunter just said. Segment EI is congruent to segment IE because of reflexive. Okay? And And so I'm ready to say now that triangle, what? What can I say about a triangle? TIE is congruent to triangle REI because of SSS. Okay? I can do that because of SSS. All three sides are the same. Okay? Now, why is that useful? Well, let's move on. By the way, if for some wacky reason I put something crazy like this on the test, and you just went on and proved this and then later on discovered, oh crap, that wasn't helpful in what I'm trying to do, don't just scribble it all out. I mean, you just did something good. You put a lot of logic together there, you put some good steps together, and you showed me you could write that proof, and I'm excited about that. Okay? So even if that wasn't helpful, don't panic and throw it away. I don't care if you end up with 12 steps on your proof. Okay? If they all make sense like this, and they just don't all gel together, I'm going to give you as many points as I can on that. Okay? So leave it there and keep it, keep going in that direction. All right? Now, this is going to be useful to us, and we'll see why in a second. Let's go back with the red pen here, and let's identify where is TD, segment TD and segment RO. Segment TD, that's this one here, isn't it? And segment RO is this one here, right? Now, we really can use, by the way, I'm just going to get rid of, get rid of this now. And we're going to highlight two new triangles. So let's look at this information, and let's look at this information. We don't know that. That's what we want to prove, but that's got to be part of where we're headed. So let's look at those two facts and try to identify what the next two triangles that are important to us are. Okay? Yeah, Hunter?
When you had the last two triangles up, since they're equal, wouldn't it be helpful to do RID is congruent to the other one so we could get a smaller triangle?
That's where we're going.
Okay.
Trying to identify which triangles we want to look at, though, so that we know which parts will be used. So very good that you're spotting that. That's awesome. Yeah. So which triangles, which smaller triangles we want to look at? RDE, okay? The fact is that will work. But it would be a little easier if we look at these two. Only because the statement says angle TDI, which is this angle. Right? Not the other side of it. You and I know that if this is a right angle, this is a right angle, don't we? But to actually say that in a proof, we'd have to take another step or two to get that out. You know what I'm saying? Where they already told me this is a right angle, so if I go with that side of it, and that's why I don't know if you noticed, but I initially wrote my little box on this side, and then I looked back at what they were saying. I said, nah, I better switch that around. That's the reason. Because they were telling me this is the right angle. And so they're telling me, let's use these middle-sized triangles, not the two littlest ones. Okay? So, oh. I'm going to pull these down, I'll just pull them down a little bit. They look like this. We have triangle TID, and triangle REO. REO Speedwagon. You guys know their songs? Anybody ever listen to them? They were big when I was your age. Like 6,000 years ago. Okay? Alright. So now, let's identify what we have. This is what we want to prove. So we don't have that yet. We know this is, oh no, sorry, I looked at the wrong picture. We know this is equal to this, right? Okay. Oh, and we know these are right angles. Why is that helpful to know they're right angles? Yeah.
Because it, like something to do with HL, the HL thing.
If I wanted to prove it was if I wanted to prove they were right triangles and use HL, I could maybe do that. I don't think HL is the way we want to go here. The reason I say that is to use HL, I need a hypotenuse and a leg. And I have the hypotenuse, but this leg I'm trying to prove, so I'm not going to know that. And these legs, they look the same length, but they're not the same. This part of it is the same, but then we've got some down here and some over here that's not sharing. So I don't have reflexive going there. So that's not really going to be helpful. So HL is good, but it's not going to help us this time. So go ahead.
The reason the right angles are helpful is because all right angles are equal.
Yeah. If I know the right angles, I know both these are right angles, and I know they're congruent to each other, right? So I'm going to want to say that. But let's go back to what Hunter said earlier. Now that we've identified which triangles we're looking at, if I took this triangle and put it back up here, what part in the yellow triangle is exactly the same as this red triangle that we just proved was congruent? Silas? Something louder?
No, two lines on it.
This part here, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. We already had that, though. I mean, what other part is not marked that is exactly the same? That's what I should have asked it. Sorry, I confused you on that. What other part is in that? Well, the red, if you look at the red triangle, this one here, TD is not in that triangle, right? It's sitting inside of it, but it's not part of that triangle, so it's really not in that triangle, right? So what is exactly the same in the red and yellow? Go ahead.
Would it be angle
TIE, that's correct. Triangle TIE in the red triangle is this angle, and angle, I may think I said it wrong, angle TIE in the red triangle is that angle, and angle TID in the yellow triangle is exactly the same angle, isn't it? So it's going to be helpful for me to say now, step 4, that angle TIE is congruent to angle REI. Angle REI. And this one down here. That angle right there. Okay? It's going to be helpful to say that those are congruent. Because of why? Hunter, do you know? Why are these angles congruent?
Because we already proved the two triangles were congruent, and since they're congruent, everything inside the triangle is congruent.
So what is the name of that rule?
I don't remember it.
CBCD.
Yeah. C, corresponding P parts of congruent C triangles T are congruent. C. CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So that's why we know that these angles here are congruent to these angles here. Okay? I'm going to put this back where it was. I'm going to pull these red ones down here. I'm just going to get rid of them. And then let's go ahead and mark these angles like we just did up there. And, oh, I put that in the wrong place. So this is equal to this, which we haven't said yet, have we? Okay, so we got to go back to the given and finish what we didn't say. Angle TDI and angle ROE are right angles. That step was given to us. Okay? And then we already said it, but we didn't write it yet. Why is it valuable to know those two are right angles? Because they're equal. So angle TDI is congruent to angle ROE because right angles are congruent. So if we look at our pictures now, the two yellow triangles here, let me slow down, sorry, some of you are still writing. You guys slow me down, don't let me just keep talking and going and you're still writing. If a question like this ended up on the test, it would definitely be on the group portion of it. This is not something I would expect you as an individual to be able to put all together on a test. Okay? Don't get me wrong, I used to put questions like this on the test, but that was a different day. Today it's not going to happen. Okay? Not in the individual part. But I could certainly foresee me putting one on the group part where you have to prove triangles congruent to get information to prove other triangles congruent. Okay? But the four of you talking through it together, you should be able to handle that. All right, now, if you look at those two triangles, triangle TID and triangle REO, okay, do we have enough information to say they're congruent? Megan, you tell me, those two yellow triangles over there, yep, those two yellow triangles, TID and triangle REO, do we have three facts in each of those that are enough to prove those triangles congruent? We do, don't we? So our next step, step 7, you're going to tell me why in just a second. Step 7, triangle TID is congruent to triangle REO You ready, Megan? Why?
Because sides, it's like side or angle side. Or
There you go.
angles,
We
yeah.
have an angle and a side that's not between them, right? Okay, so that's angle, side. Okay? So now that I know those two triangles are congruent, I'm ready for the last step. Amber, are you all over? The last step, can you tell me what's going to be? Segment TD is congruent to segment RO. RO. Yeah, there you go. Okay. CPCTC. All right? That's a long proof. There's 8 steps there. It's very involved. I understand it. We're not going to hammer this into depth until everybody gets it. Okay? We're going to, gosh, it took, how long did it take? You did 2 problems until a quarter after, and we spent 40 minutes on this. So, first time through it takes a while, but we'll practice one more problem, maybe not quite as hard, and then we'll call it a day. And tomorrow we're going to take a quiz over unit for the chapter 4 part of it. All right? So, darn, I get distracted. There's one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, that's what it was. Notice we use CPCTC twice in his proofs, didn't we? Every time we used it, it was the step immediately following what? Proving triangles are congruent, right? Every one of them. Oh, that's not the page I thought it was. Okay? Every time you use it, it'll be right after you're saying one of those 5 triangle congruent statements. You prove the triangle's congruent, you use CPCTC. Okay? That's what's going to happen. Every time you use CPCTC, it'll always be right after that. This doesn't go anywhere else in here. This step here doesn't go anywhere else up and through here. And these can only be used when we're saying triangle congruent to triangle. Okay? If you can follow those 2 simple rules, then when I'm checking your proof, I will be way less frustrated with you. And understand, if I'm way less frustrated with you when I'm checking your proof, you're going to get more points. Okay? So make sure you make notes of that. You're allowed to use your notebook. I expect a little more out of you on your proofs. Okay? So let's go to a new page. Let's do one like, let's do one that looks like this. No, it's not. Does it look like it? Oh, yeah, no, so it's not. 16, 17, and 18 are all the triangles like we just did. You have to prove one pair of triangles and another pair. We don't have time for another one of those, so I'm just doing something a little simpler here. Okay? So the given here is that angle ADC congruent to angle BCD, and angle A congruent to angle B. And we want to prove segment AD congruent to segment BC. Okay, I want you to work in your group. Please have discussion in your group. If you know how to do this, don't worry about you getting it done right away. Talk with the other people in your group and make sure they understand the concept and what you're trying to do. And try to do this one. We have 8 minutes left in class, actually a little less than that. So let's try to get this done in now 7 minutes. If we don't have time to finish it, then we'll wrap it up tomorrow real quick. Okay? I'm going to pause this.